Hello again. Thank you for tuning into Van Talks with Lana. This is episode 2 of my first ever talking series. And I just want to say thank you. I feel like as I step into this space, I'm like, oh God, what am I going to talk about today? And felt like the first thing that came to my mind was the idea around habits, right? And creating them, whether it's implementing or incorporating a new habit into your life, or removing an old habit, or even swapping a new one with an old one, or an old one with a new one. And oftentimes we think of New Year's, right? And our New Year's resolution, I'm going to read X amount of books this year. That's going to be my resolution. I want to practice more mindfulness. I'm going to hit the gym. I want to diet. I'm going to cut drinking, whatever it may be. And we have this level of motivation coming into it, right? And I think there's a lot of emphasis around motivation in our present day and how you need that in order to achieve your goals and maintain your momentum and your groove and get things done. When in fact, after reading a book, it's actually called Tiny Habits by, I don't need to try to memorize it. I know his name is he's a professor at Stanford. He also created the I think it's an innovation lab at Stanford. Let me just pull this out. Do I still have the book around here? BJ Fogg, Tiny Habits, The Small Changes That Change Everything. BJ Fogg, he has a PhD, which is pretty neat. And he's the founder of the Behavior Design Lab at Stanford University. So I had some things that I wanted to try to tackle before the year ends and then just maintain throughout the rest of my life moving forward. And I thought, okay, looking through my library in the van, because I do have one, it's right there. And I'm like, all right, let's pick this one up. I've been picking this book up and putting it down without actually opening it and reading it. And I'm like, let's just do it. So I finished the book last week. I've started a new one, but a lot of it is around, yes, your motivation, right? But motivation comes and goes. You can't rely on it to sustain something, especially something that isn't really embedded in you. It isn't a default yet, like brushing your teeth, right? It's something that you want to incorporate into your life. So you also want to consider your ability, right? What's your ability to do this task? Whether it's, let's go back to brushing our teeth. Why is it that the dentist is like, you need to floss, and we just don't really floss, or we don't floss as frequently as we brush our teeth or as frequently as we should? And it's because oftentimes you think of, I have to have the floss, I have to take the floss out, and I have to floss every single tooth. When in fact, let's think, can we scale back? Can we scale that down a bit? Maybe instead of our whole mouth, it's kind of gross, but let's just floss one tooth. So your ability to do the task, how hard or how easy is it? You want to try to make it as easy as possible so that you're not discouraged to do it, and so that you know, hey, I can do this. I can floss one tooth. Now, when do I floss the tooth? And this is kind of where the prompt or your prompt is essential. So after I brush my teeth, I am going to floss one tooth. So bam, if you brush your teeth every day, hopefully you do. I'm guilty of that's become something gross within van life, and I was thinking about that the other day, so I had to try and hey, I don't have my bathroom anymore, and sometimes I'm not always showering at gyms. When do I brush my teeth if I'm just waking up in the middle of a forest? And I made it so that after coffee, brush our teeth, as well as take a sip of water to just not stain our teeth. So going back to it, the prompt, after I brush my teeth, I will floss one tooth. So the prompt is something that you need to be able to rely on. It's something that you know you do on default. You don't really think about doing it. You just do it. Like when someone throws a ball at you, you kind of nudge or you flinch, try to avoid getting hit. That's something that's habitual. It's not something that you really put much thought into doing, but it's something that's in your everyday life. Now, so you have, what's your ability? Easy to hard. You want to make it as easy as possible. So if it's, I want to do 25 push-ups every day, let's just scale that to, after I flush the toilet, I am going to do 1 push-up. We're not going to start with 25 because even for me to bang out 25 is kind of hard. I'd probably break it up 5 by 5. But I even played around with the idea of that. Every time I walk in and out of the van, I'm going to do a push-up. And then I was like, whoa, Lana, that's a lot of push-ups, 1. And 2, you're not going to really... I mean, my ability to do it, I have the physical strength, but think about it. If the dogs are barking and I have to go run out of the van and get them, I may skip that push-up that I need to do. Or if I'm running out because I have to use the bathroom, it's like, I don't think I'm gonna bust down and give you a push-up, even if it's 1 rather than 10. So you want to think about how realistic it is and the timing of it. I think the timing is crucial. So after you flush the toilet, 1 push-up. And there was a case in this book, or like a study, or just an example where this gentleman started with 1 and over time he increased that, and that raises the question of, when do you know when to bump it up to 2 or 5? And rather, someone driving by on an ATV, I'm not sure if you can see that. It's kind of hard to see in between the bushes, but they're going. Then it's just, you know, okay, 1, if you think about it, 2, try it. But then it's also, you don't want to crank it up too quickly and let your ego get the best of you, and then that's not something that you can sustain or maintain. So I would say the timing part of it, I can't really speak to as well. I think it's just really something that I feel and listen to. Also, while you can also simply just try it, and if it is weighing too much on you, if you feel like you're dreading the task, or if your level of motivation has kind of decreased, or even your ability to do so, then that's your cue to kind of pull it back a bit. What else? So I spoke to motivation, your ability, your prompt. What else around habits? I think just in general, what kind of drew me to the topic around habits is we have good ones and we have bad ones, right? And some of them we're less aware of. But as I've gotten older and I've learned more about my mind and my body and how they interact with one another through the brainstem, when taking a neuroscience course at MIT, and that kind of really just sparking a lot of my interest around the brain and what goes on, and how that just relates to our decision making, our ability to empathize with people, how in tune we are with ourselves, how we react to certain environmental changes, whether someone slams a door, whether you're stepping into a new space, your ability to adjust and adapt to change, and how you react on like an internal level, and your cortisol and your adrenaline to unfamiliar spaces or faces. And I think I'm probably going to do another talk just on that, and really more so what I'm speaking to is neuroplasticity, and just how fascinating it is that regardless of your age, your brain still has the ability to change. You have the ability to form these new habits. You have the ability to kind of rewire your internal makeup, in the sense of, okay, maybe because something had happened in the past, now this is a result of it, yes. But with awareness, how can we kind of navigate that differently? And our ability to maintain resilience during uncertain times, during volatile times, or just ambiguity, which is a lot of the source of our anxiety and our fear or our worry and anticipation of the future. But without getting all into that, I want to just leave you with a thought that just came into my mind that I heard a few years ago, and it stuck with me. If you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you are pissing on the present. So one foot in the future, anxiety. One foot in the past, a form of depression. You're pissing on the future. So that's why I have this tattoo here. It says it's basically the word now, and it's like a digital clock. So meaning the time is now. There's a lot to that, but a lot of it is just practicing being where my feet are and not thinking and replaying what had happened or trying to over plan and map out all of the future. But then there were certain circumstances that kind of led to why I did van life, truly why I did it. And yeah, that will probably be another talk, because I do eventually want to get to who I am, where I came from, and what I'm doing now, and what this all means for Lana. But yeah, I just want to really just highlight that just because you have always had a particular habit that you couldn't shake, really sit down and ask yourself, like, what's the story around this thing that I'm doing? Sometimes it's when I feel grief. My father passed away this last March. I think we're approaching the 6-month mark. And sometimes I feel that sadness and that grief, and I'm recently like, hey, I've been snacking a little bit more on like chocolate and chocolate peanuts trail mix, or like Nutella on a slice of bread. Definitely wanted to have those things accessible. If you just wipe them out, then your snacking is a bit more limited, unless you want to go out and drive 10 minutes to go get ice cream, drive back home, and then indulge. But sometimes it's what am I feeling that's causing me to go for this thing, pick this thing up, or kind of shift what I'm doing to make myself feel more comfortable. And a lot of it is what discomfort, what's there, what's truly there that I'm feeling, which is causing me to do X, Y, or Z. Sometimes I'm guilty of the gym being a healthy coping mechanism, I would say. A lot of it is I need to burn off steam, or I feel like I haven't done too much today, so I want to be a little bit more productive. And then I have to remind myself, productivity is important, but your worth is not defined by your level of productivity. And just know that we are all worthy, and you are beautiful just by being, just by waking up, just by breathing. And yeah, what else? Yeah, a lot of it's really thinking about what that is for you, and sitting down and writing it. Hey, when do I do this? What is it that I'm feeling? And being honest with yourself, which is difficult. You may not get to that in that very moment, but keep coming back to it. If it's something that you find yourself like every couple of months, every year, I say I'm gonna do this and I just can't seem to be or maintain consistency, then in the case of snacking or food, you want to have that stuff out. Don't have it around. then you want to think about the people that you're surrounding yourself with. You have to communicate with them what it is that you're trying to do. And sometimes that can lead to them being supportive, or you realizing, hey, without this certain thing, the friendship might not be there. So you have to redefine your definition of fun, if that is something you want. And you have to be disciplined, and you have to be strict and letting people know. Another ATV. What else? I think the biggest one was scaling it back. So hey, don't say like, I want to have this really big goal, lose 20 pounds. Maybe start with, and that's another thing, rather than it being that specific, you maybe want to start with a general habit. I want to live a healthier lifestyle. And that's when you think of, what are the things that I can do to live a healthier lifestyle? It can be taking care of your plants, practicing a better self-care routine, going to the gym once a week, choosing to walk for a few minutes during or after you eat your lunch, or perhaps when you get home. There is something interesting that some people kind of like mock, but say if you want to get into running and you're not really a runner, people say there's this like beauty, and not beauty but just power in putting your sneakers on and just putting your sneakers on. Then maybe after you put your sneakers on, you walk around the house. Then maybe you walk to the mailbox, and you just crank it up by increments slowly. But it's just like, we didn't wake up one day and walk, right? You know, we took our first step and then we fell. Then we took another step and we fell. And then we consistently started falling, taking more steps, gradually walking longer distances, learning how to jump, how to climb, how to run, how to hike. But yeah, there's that concept of baby steps, and it really is where the magic happens. Start off small. What else? So I'll leave you with my newest habit, which is like, whoa, that's it? I have always struggled to wake up early and be a morning person. And if I had to go to work, I would get up and I would rush and I would just do this like 1, 2, 3 spin and I'd be out the door. Morning routine, not really a thing. I got into it for some time, actually when I was taking that neuroscience class, because I was really pumped for that, to wake up early and study before work. And I had a morning routine around that I maintained. And then it just lost it. So it was my morning routine, but waking up early enough to, one, have the time to do something for myself and create something and use my hands. And so it was a lot of waking up, rushing to go to work, and I would get there. And I would get there well put together with all my things. And I learned like, hey, within this 15, 20 minutes, I can do everything. Get dressed. I wouldn't shower in the morning though, I'd shower at night. Get dressed, brush my teeth, fix my hair. Sometimes pack some lunch, and then walk the dogs. Walk. It was more of like a, hey, let's walk a couple steps, you're gonna do your business, and we run back in, which made me feel terrible. That's another thing. If you don't accomplish that new goal that you set out, then you feel this like guilt. I'm like, oh, I'm a sack of beans and boom. So then it was, whoa, I'm doing van life, and like life is pretty sweet. Yeah, it has its cons, and every day isn't magical, but why am I sleeping in till like after 10 a.m.? Like, why am I not waking up and doing what Alana wants to do? And I was like, whoa, okay, let's change that. Like, For starters, one, it was the negative association that I had most of my life with waking up and running to school early, or waking up and running to work, which most times I dreaded. And now it's, what are you dreading? Like, why aren't you excited? So I made it so that, all right, what is my prompt? Because you kind of have to think about it. Waking up is the first thing. Like, it's not like, after I flush the toilet, I'm going to do a push-up. No. So what happens? I'm sleeping. Chances are the alarm goes off, but I could snooze that, and that's like not going to work. It hasn't for years. So it's sleeping. I open my eyes. Okay, that's one. That's probably the big bang. And then sometimes I close my eyes, or I cuddle with the dog, or I turn over and get more comfortable. Okay, so prompt, eyes open. All right, what are we gonna do? What's our action? I gotta get out the bed. I have to put my feet on the floor. Then that's it. Eyes open, up, feet on the floor. Literally, this is it. And then you have to celebrate. This was one where I was like, whoa, okay, so what's my celebration gonna be? And I'll let you guys know what it is. So for me, it's like a little bit of dancing, moving, and like, so eyes open, feet on the floor, and then I do this thing where I'm like, I have more time to do more things. Literally, I have more time to do more things. And I'm like, and that's it. And I do it a little bit more forcefully to kind of like wake the body up. Some days, if the dogs are in the bed and I just open the eyes, I still sit up and and that's it for me. Then I start the routine after that. I peel back the curtains, step outside, use the bathroom, play with the dogs, greet my man, and then coffee, breakfast. So make sure you think of a lot of these things. It's your ability. How easy or hard is it to do it? Your level of motivation, you don't want to rely on that. A lot of it's the ability. You want to make it simple. And then the prompt. What is the thing that happens to you every single day that you can rely on in order to remind you to do this new habit? For me, it's the eyes open. Then I do the feet on the floor, and then I do the party where I celebrate. And that's to make me feel good, because we grow and we change best when doing things that make us feel good. So also ensure that it's something that you already want to do, and try and help yourself do something that you know you already want to do, right? And just think about, how can I make this happen? So if you have any questions, I know that was a lot, drop down in the comments, ask me. I'm happy to share some sources, some maps, some kind of like graphs that you can use as a template to fill in a lot of this in order to help you lay out those bad habits, and lead you to removing those or swapping those with new habits, or just kind of revisiting a new habit that you know you want. Let me know what you think, and please like, comment, don't like, do one of these if you didn't like it, and let me know what you think. I will be posting episode 3 in about a week. We'll see what the topic is going to be. I think it might be a little bit more about the brain.